Hello. Welcome to, I think this is episode 9 of the Lulabelle H knitting podcast. My name's Paula and I live south of Edinburgh with my husband and my little cat Meg, who is asleep asleep with her eyes open on her electric blanket. So I hope you can see Meg, maybe. Yeah, so it's been a long time since I recorded an episode. I think it's been about 3 months, and that's mostly due to 3 or 4 months, mostly due to I haven't been very well for the last 9 weeks. I have had whooping cough, which it's been a really kind of odd, surreal experience. I was really ill for the first 5 weeks, and then it kind of gradually the symptoms started to kind of ease, but only like it felt like a kind of shaving's worth of lifting of symptoms at a time. It didn't feel anything. It's not like, when you get a cold or flu and excuse me, you're going to kind of be better after a few days. So yeah, it was quite kind of odd. I've never been so ill for so long, and when I first got it, obviously I didn't know what I had, and so I went to the doctor. He gave me antibiotics, and I was kind of googling things like pneumonia and COVID, and whooping cough. I didn't even know what whooping cough was. And then I think the second time I went to the doctor, he said it could be whooping cough. And anyway, I had a whole load of tests done, and and so obviously after he said that, I kind of came home and googled a sound clip of whooping cough, and that was exactly, and the symptoms all aligned as well. So that was exactly what I had. And because when the doctor first said it, I thought, because he said that the cough has a really distinct sound. When we go to bed at night, there's a little owl just outside our window that does a kind of whoop whoop kind of noise, and I thought, because I've never heard whooping cough before, I thought he meant that's what it sounded like. And when I was in his surgery, I was thinking, well, I don't sound like that. But anyway, once I came home and googled it, and Meg's on the move. Once I came home and googled it and kind of realised that it's a really kind of severe, violent coughing, followed by like a really kind of struggle to get breath in, because what happens is, I won't go on about it too long, but what happens is it was worse at night, because obviously when you go from kind of vertical to horizontal for a long time, the phlegm in my lungs was kind of shifting. So then when I kind of woke up, the first thing I do was cough. And then, of course, coughing kind of expels all the air in my lungs, and then the phlegm was blocking my airways, so I don't know where Meg's gone. Oh, there she is. I couldn't get any air in to breathe, which was really frightening. And that was happening. So initially it was happening like every hour during the night, and a bit during the day, and then it kind of eased off to kind of like 3 or 4 times during the night. Anyway, it was really bad. It was really frightening, because not being able to breathe is really frightening. So my husband initially started sleeping in the next room, because I was so kind of agitated during the night. He couldn't sleep through it. And there was a few times I thought about going to get him just to sit with me, because I was actually quite worried. But I knew it would only be distressing for him. It's coming back up again. So on you go. So I didn't, and I just kind of sat through it myself. And anyway, like I say, I just gotta watch the candles. Hold on. Yeah, like I say, the symptoms gradually improved. And anyway, so this is like the end of 9 weeks. I just have to watch Meg so that she doesn't singe her tail on the candles. think she kind of deliberately kind of causes like attention to be on her. If she's not getting attention and she wants attention, she knows how to get attention. Anyway, so yeah, so that was kind of, yeah, this is the end of 9 weeks. I'm going back to work next week. I've been off work for 9 weeks. And yeah, so it's been really odd to be, I mean, it doesn't even feel like I've been off work for 9 weeks, because I was just so ill for most of it. And even like 2 weeks ago, so my doctor gave me antibiotics initially, and then 2 weeks ago I went back to him and just said I'm still, had no energy, my lung capacity was still low. Even the prospect, because that's when my latest sick line was due to run out, and even the prospect of getting on the bus, that would have, you know, I wasn't even achieving that in a day at that point. I couldn't even manage that. All I was achieving at that point was occasional kind of 10-minute walks, maybe 1 or 2 10-minute walks, and sometimes even that would kind of floor me for the following day. She's back to sleep. So yeah, so 2 weeks ago, even the prospect of the bus journey, the journey to work, that would have finished me off. Never mind then trying to, I still couldn't talk properly, so my voice went, and so yeah, the whole prospect of trying to go to work. Anyway, so at that point he gave me steroids, which within a day and a half, really, I could tell were really helping. And so gradually over the last 2 weeks, I feel so every day I'm now able to take about a 50-minute walk a day. We try and take a 50-minute walk at lunchtime, and that's been okay. So anyway, I'm hoping, my manager is just totally amazing, really supportive and helpful, and so we kind of worked out a kind of return to work where I can kind of do, I mean, I'm obviously hoping to be back to being fully fit as soon as possible, but we've kind of arranged it so that I can kind of do what I can, and if I need to rest, that's fine. So that's great. So anyway, so the only thing, I mean, for a long time I've got a lot of finished objects today. To get on to the reason I'm recording this, park the whooping cough. So the only things I could do when I was ill, and for the first part of being ill, for the first kind of 5.5, 6 weeks, I couldn't do anything. But anyway, when I got better, I was sitting up, I wasn't sleeping all day. So anyway, it meant I got quite a lot of knitting done towards the end of being unwell. Because the only thing I could really do was knit. Thank goodness I like knitting, and read, yeah, kind of watch. I've been watching a bit of Love Island for fun. So that's all I've been doing. So yeah, so I've got a lot of finished items and a few whips, and I mean, so I didn't knit all this while I was ill. A lot of it was either finished or close to being finished before I got ill, and then a few things just at the end of kind of beginning to get a bit better. So yeah, so I'll just start. I've been drinking this. It's a really lovely tea, herbal tea from Sainsbury's. I think it's apple, ginger, beetroot, blackcurrant. It's really lovely and warming. Anyway, so I think I've got like 10 or 11 finished items. I've got 3 whips, excuse me, a couple of podcast recommendations, and anyway, reading. I'll see how far I get. I'd like to keep the episode to about an hour, because nothing should take longer than an hour in life. So that's 10 minutes just on whooping cough. Anyway, also this mug, my neighbour gave me this mug when it's got kind of little cats on it. My neighbour's really good at choosing amazing mugs. My favourite tea mug came from her as well. She gave me this when Meg was ill once, which was really sweet of her. And so this is my favourite herbal tea mug, because it can hold a kind of bucket of herbal tea, and it's really nice. So, first finished object is, so I no longer have it. It was, so it's the Tolsta tank. So I'm wearing my Tolsta tank, which I really love. I really love the bust shaping, because I just think it gives a really nice definition to the garment and to my body. So anyway, I knitted a Tolsta tank for Karen. So this is the, I did actually record a bit of a segment before I took it to Karen, but I've decided I won't put it in, I won't drop it in, I'll just show you the photograph. So this is the Karen and I with us both wearing our Tolsta tanks. So I knitted Karen's in drop spell, the same as this, size 3 with no bust shaping. For some reason, I actually think I could have put bust shaping in once I saw her, because for some reason she had a great deal of difficulty getting her measurements. I don't know why. It was quite funny. She sent me through about 3 or 4 different attempts at measurements. And anyway, eventually I just started knitting and thought I'll take a punt on just kind of looking at photographs of her and kind of guessing, knowing what I know of her and guessing. So anyway, and actually once her measurements came through, I had guessed correctly. But then I'm not sure she really measured herself correctly. I think I could have done bust shaping. But anyway, it looks really good, and yeah, so I went to drop it off to her, obviously before I got ill. And it was really lovely to see her, and her twin sister Pam was there. And then afterwards I was looking for a photograph, an old photograph of something entirely different, and I came across this. So this is us now, like this is us now. And then I came across a photograph of us when we were friends, when we were, I hope that'll focus. Is it? I don't, oh yeah, there it goes. So that was us when we were friends at school, and that was taken, we did a school trip to London, and yeah, so that was when we were kind of friends in secondary school. It was really odd finding it actually, because like I say, I'd gone looking for a different photograph entirely and came across that, and especially finding that old photograph in the same kind of week that I'd gone to see her again. Yeah. So that was a Tolsta tank. It's a really lovely, I really love the Tolsta tank, and I've said before, I've got drop spell in cherry red to knit myself, another one, and it took 4 balls to knit, which I think is really good. When I was knitting, so I think I've talked before about knitting and wearing off-white. I'm not very good at it, because I'm such a mucky person, so I'm covered in animals, or I go to the allotment, or I'm in the garden, you know, there's always something that kind of, I get mucky. But even, so when I was knitting Karen's Tolsta tank, because I was thinking other people managed to wear white, especially Scandinavians, they've got animals and children, and their whole house, like their couch and their carpet and their children, everything's white, and that fascinates me. Anyway, so when I was knitting Karen's Tolsta tank, I thought, okay, let's give it a go, just acting normally around a white garment, because, you know, I must be able to. It's like I can knit anything else and not spill something on it. So anyway, I started knitting I hadn't got much done, I just got above the rib done, and I had a cup of coffee, and when I was knitting, and when I kind of took the coffee cup away from my mouth, it left a trail of coffee on the table. Luckily it didn't get on me, and luckily it didn't get on the wool as well, because the wool was right beside the coffee cup. Anyway, so that was the end of, from that point on I was like, okay, yeah, I've just proved to myself that I can't go anywhere near anything white. So yeah, so from that point on I kind of cleaned everything, and wash my hands, and even at one point I'd been writing in a notepad, and the wool, I mean the yarn is a mix of cotton and linen, but the ball of yarn kind of flopped onto the notepad, and even that I was thinking, oh God, I hope I don't mark the Tolsta tag before I've even finished knitting it and given it to her. So anyway, I was very happy to hand it over, and we had a really nice kind of cup of coffee and a cake and stuff. And I was hoping to get back down to see Karen and Pam, to visit Pam. Pam has a lot of chickens as well, a lot of animals, a lot of chickens. So I was hoping to get down to see her set up, because I haven't been to see her set up for a few years now actually. And we had arranged it, and then I got ill and I just had to cancel everything. So hopefully before Christmas I'll be able to go down and see them again. That would be really nice. Yeah, so that is the first finished object. So the next finished object is, it's a little, oops, I've got such a pile of stuff here. So it's a little, so this is, it's called Anna. So the whole of the rest of my episode is Petite knit patterns. I'm on such a Petite knit kick because I just really like her whole aesthetic. It's so, everything she does is so clean and it's just beautiful. Her designs are so beautiful and wearable, and they're kind of, they very much remind me of, I mean, Toast, so Toast, the kind of ready to wear company, Toast are much more colourful and stuff like that, but the knitwear, most of Petite Knit's knitwear is quite often in off-white, her samples, and Toast is a really colourful clothing company. But the kind of the design and the aesthetic and the quality is very close to Toast's design, I think. So I can make my own similar to Toast knitted items for like completely a fraction of the cost and a lot of time. So anyway, so the whole of the rest of the items I have are Petite knit designs. So this is Anna Summer Cardigan. It's 6 to 9 months. It's for my youngest nephew and his wife. So I say they've just had a baby. They've now had a baby 6 months ago, because I was kind of due to take this down to them, and then I got ill and I wasn't able to. So Carly, the baby, is now 6 months old. So I'm going to post this on Monday. Yeah, so I need to I'm going to steam press it and I'll put the buttons on. So I don't know if you can see the buttons. I don't know if you've even got it anywhere near. Whoops, I'm way off. I can't see what I'm doing. They're just, if that didn't focus, they're just kind of little round mustard coloured buttons, slightly darker than the garment. And yeah, it's a really sweet cardigan. I really like it. It was fun to knit because, relatively quick to knit because it's a baby's cardigan. Fun to knit because you've got, it's not just stocking stitch, it's you know, the yarn overs, knit two together every so often. There's one, nobody will notice except me, but I missed one little hole there because at that point, you start at the top obviously, and at that point I was still figuring out the pattern. So anyway, nobody will notice except me. Plus she's only going to be in it for another 3 months, so really nobody will notice. So that's my second finished object. My voice is pretty much back to normal. For a long time, even 2 weeks ago, it was still dropping out, so it would just kind of freeze up in the middle of speaking, which was really frustrating. Like really frustrating. No, that was talking a lot. My husband, so my husband came home from, he was in the Far East and Australia and New Zealand. I think he came home 2 weeks ago, and he'd been away for 2.5 weeks. So for 2.5 weeks, I didn't need to talk because it was me and the cat, but it made me laugh because anytime I told a friend, so I kind of cancelled all arrangements with friends, like lunch and visiting and stuff. And initially when I cancelled, I was kind of rearranging for like 2 or 3 weeks time because I thought I'd be better by then. And then it got to like 2 weeks now, so it's like obviously I still can't do anything. So I got to the point where I just said to everybody, I can't do anything, I don't know when I'll be able to do anything, I'll get in touch when I'm like actually better again. And I always said to everybody, I can't speak, my voice just keeps dropping out, or if I can talk, it's really kind of light and it's difficult to talk, and pretty much everybody, there's a few people, like pretty much everybody tried to call me on the phone, which kind of gobsmacked me because I was like, okay, so I've told you I can't talk and now you're phoning me. But what do you think is going to happen? Anyway, I just thought it was really funny. Even like at one point I wrote a letter to my friend, because her and I usually Zoom each other once a month and I haven't Zoomed for a while, so we quite like writing old-fashioned letters to each other instead of email, text. So I wrote her a letter basically just saying I've got whooping cough, and at the very end I wrote something like, funnily enough, when I tell people I can't talk, the first thing they do is call me, and then I put in brackets, but I don't answer because I can't talk. And then like 2 or 3 days later I noticed there was a missed call on my phone from her, and literally she never calls me, and that really made me laugh because she never calls me. We always arrange when we're going to Zoom, and yeah. Anyway, right, next finished item is the Anker sweater by Petite knit. So this is knitted in Drops Charisma Sea Green. I use 9 balls. I'm just going to check the recording time. 22. Okay, so I use 9 balls of Drops Charisma, and yeah, this is it. It's quite hard to show in a oneer. I love this detail, particularly at the top. I love that kind of ribbing. So this is my new favourite pattern. I was on a big kind of cardigan kick for a while, and I really love cardigans because they've got the kind of flexibility of you can have them closed and they're really warm, or you can have them open if you get a bit too warm. Plus I really like knitting cardigans because I like choosing buttons to go on the cardigans. So, but this is my new favourite cardigan pattern because you start knitting at the rib, you cast on in rib and do 5 kind of chunks of rib with increases in between the chunks, a bit of raglan shaping for the arms. Then you knit the body, you knit the sleeves, cast off, and all you have to do at the end is sew in the ends of when you join in the new ball. And that to me is pure magic because I hate picking up stitches to do a rib or a collar or a button band, or sewing items together if I had to knit something flat, which I almost never do now. That can kind of set me back on a project. Like I've got one Eventon cardigan, the whole thing's knitted. I just have to knit the collar and the button bands and it'll be finished. And it's beautiful wool. It's I think it's Viking yarn something. And it's a really lovely kind of mustard colour. I really want to have it to wear, but anyway, I haven't got round to doing the collar and the button bands. So, but anyway, so this is excuse me, and there's something really, it's the first time I've knitted in Drops Charisma, and there's something really, I don't know how to describe it, really woolly about the wool. I really like the wool, and there's something really kind of 70s wooliness about the wool. I don't really know what I mean by that either. It feels kind of like an old-fashioned like an old-fashioned proper jumper. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I really like it. I really like it. It's really comfortable to wear, and it feels great. I actually thought about, after, because I knitted this soon after knitting the drops, the Tolsta tank. I actually started to work out and do my own bust shaping in this, and then I kind of got cold feet and knitted back and didn't bother. But I'm really tempted in future to do, I really like bust shaping in garments, or I think because so I haven't got huge boobs, but they're big enough that actually having some waist shaping, I think, kind of gives me a better shape. I just think it looks, I think I look better in a garment that has bust shaping in it, rather than just, I mean, the kind of jumper, because it has no bust shaping, it's just a kind of line down from my breast to my belly. Anyway, I can figure it out. I might try it at some point. I kind of lost my nerve to do it on this. I could have figured it out, and it actually, yeah, I think it'd be quite easy to figure out. It's just whether I'd want to rip back if it didn't work. Anyway, that's for future Paula to figure out. But yeah, so I really love this, and I haven't worn it yet because I wanted to record and show it before I start wearing it properly, but I'll start wearing it now. And I don't think I had anything else to say about it. I do have something really important to say about this. Hold on. Right, I'm going to stop recording there. Excuse me, because I'm at 27 minutes and it only records for half an hour, so 1 second, I'll be right back. Right, so the big news about the Anker sweater is obviously when you knit rib, the rib kind of naturally cinches in, and often in a pattern you want the rib to cinch in a bit, either for like the bottom of a cuff or the bottom of a jumper, or ribbing at the top of a sock or mittens, that kind of thing. You want that cinching in. But I don't want cinching in on a jumper, so I block the jumper. I took a photo of me blocking the jumper to prove I had blocked the jumper. That's me blocking my jumper. To prove, I got the blocking mats from Halfords, because blocking mats are, I looked at them online and they're quite expensive. They're like 40 odd pounds for blocking mats, which I think is quite expensive. I can buy a lot of wool for 40 pounds. So anyway, in Halfords they were £8, and I kind of YouTubed how to, because I've always been, maybe that's why I've never blocked, because I've always been a bit unsure how to block. Anyway, so I duly washed, kind of soaked the jumper, wrung it out in towels. I didn't pin it, I just kind of stretched it on the, kind of pulled it into shape on the blocking mats. Left overnight, so left it overnight. So I managed to leave it for, which is really good for me because I'm not a patient person at all, but I managed to leave it for 36 hours, which is really, really, really good for me. So anyway, and then after 36 hours my patience was very thin. So what I did was I had I put a towel over the kitchen radiator. We've got like a little drying rack on the radiator as well, so I put it, by that point, because I'd turned it over a couple of times as well so that both sides could get some air, so by that time it was dry enough to be able to move it and for it not to lose its shape. So I was really quite happy with that technique. Some people on YouTube were saying it can take a week for a jumper to block. I don't have a week to wait for a jumper to block. So anyway, obviously once I put it on the radiator, it dried really quickly, which was great. So I think that's been my, I've done a bit more blocking, and that's now my technique for blocking jumpers. So, but yeah, I really love this. I'm really looking forward to wearing it and feeling like a kind of 70s girl again. Between the recordings, Meg got up and caused a faff, so I took a break, let her out. So she will at some point be clawing the door to get back in again. So that's my third finished object. And then the fourth one, which really just needs showing, it doesn't need much talking about, is also an Anker sweater, also in Drops Charisma. I think this is forest green. Oh, I forgot to show you. So I did, as well as blocking the jumper, I got some little tags from Petite, which I thought were quite sweet. So I got a few of these. I got a blue one, a green one, pink, and a kind of biscuit coloured one. And I might get some more because I do really like them actually. I kind of put them in the jumper because the Anker sweater doesn't have any short rows at the back. So the front and the back are effectively the same, but obviously you've got the cast on, which you would want to naturally put at the back, so you get a clean line at the front. So having the tag just makes it kind of simpler to see which way around it goes. So I haven't put the green tag in this yet, but I will. So this is the green Anker sweater. Exactly the same. I haven't worn this either. I kind of knitted this hot on the heels of finishing the first one because I just liked the first one so much. I can't remember if I got the wool at the same time or if I ordered after. Wool Warehouse has a really bad policy of giving you free shipping if you order over £30 worth of wool, and that's easily done. It's easy to put £30 of wool in your basket and then get free shipping. And even if I only want to knit, like if I'm going specifically for one garment's worth of wool, because then it's just like, okay, for another, I can either pay £3.50 shipping, or I can get another 12 quid's worth of wool and then no shipping. So it gets me pretty much every time. I really need to knit everything for the wool I've got. Anyway, so that's the green Anker sweater. I'll put a little tag in the back, and then that's also great. I really love it. So the next two finished items are small items. So they're Sophie scarves by Petite. So this is the brown Sophie scarf. It's knitted in, so this is leftover. So I'm kind of on a bit of a quest to knit a Sophie scarf in every colour, so that I can, whatever I'm wearing, I can just grab a Sophie scarf to wear with it on my way out the door. I keep them in my little tin up there. So this wool is left over from the Evendon cardigan that I knitted, Willow and Lark, Heath Solids, I think. Anyway, I really love this brown. It's such a warm chocolatey brown. I've been wearing this quite a lot actually, partly just because I kind of took it out one day, and then any time I kind of go for my walk, I've just been putting on. I learned a new way of tying the Sophie scarf just from looking at photographs of how Petite Knit herself tied it. So I've just been doing a kind of like that and then double knot. But she I'm sure everybody else knows this, but she kind of starts at the front, goes round the back, and then just kind of ties it once at the front. And I actually really like that. It's really snug then, it's really warm, and it mostly stays secure. Sometimes it comes loose, but it mostly stays secure. So that's my new favourite way of tying my Sophie scarf. So yeah, so I now have a brown Sophie scarf. I think the only colour I don't have red, I've got pink, and I've got purple. So I might have to do a red one. I don't know. But I do still need a blue one, so at some point I will do blue. But so after knitting the Tolsta tank for Karen, I started to really want to be able to wear white and off-white. Off-white, I'm bright white, I'm not, you know. So I decided to start knitting a couple of off-white garments, one of which is this. So this is my off-white Sophie scarf. It's knitted in Drops Puna, which is DK. The Willow and Lark, the brown Sophie scarf is DK as well, and I still knit it on the 3.25mm needles, so it kind of gives a denser fabric. But even though this is also DK, it's got a really kind of lovely drape to it. I really like it. It's the same Drops Puna. I knitted the charcoal Sophie scarf in Drops Puna, and I really love the drape on that, so I really like the drape on this. And yeah, so this is my white, can't see what's going on there. This is my white Sophie scarf. I really love it. It's nice. I think I suit this colour. So yeah, it's my Sophie scarf. I had got the wool to try to knit a pair of mittens, and the mittens didn't work out, and I frogged it. So that's the wool from that, put to good use. So next, I think I took. Oh, here it is. I thought when I'd gone through with Meg, I'd taken my tea. Anyway. So my next two finished items are Stockholm slipovers. Again, this is where the kind of similar to Toast. Toast has a lot of slipovers. I think they're not quite as thick as. So this is my Stockholm slipover. It's been folded for a while, so. It's really lovely. It's very Toast-like. Although I do think it's a bit thicker. I think Toast kind of probably do their slipovers in 4-ply or even kind of lighter weight yarn. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is really, really lovely. It's size 2. It's knitted in Drops Nepal. I used 7 balls for it. I kind of knitted this one and the next Stockholm slipover together before kind of doing my knitting Tetris of doing the ribbing on the armholes and necks. So I had it sitting for a while. I knitted the whole of this and the whole of the next one, and then did the ribbing on all of them. So yeah, so I haven't worn it yet. I love the colour. I have more Drops Nepal to knit another Stockholm slipover in a rust colour, but after knitting 2 I just needed a break from knitting the slipovers. And this is I think this is Drops Nepal in Deep Sea. Again, it's just exactly the same. Sorry, it's been folded. It's really lovely. This has got actually got a kind of green in the blue, which is really nice. It's kind of like a black watch, reminds me of a black watch tartan, I think. It's really nice, it's really lovely. So yeah, so that's, yeah, so when I first knitted these, I think the green one I knitted was in a size 3 or 4. Anyway, I'm now kind of a size 2 for the slipovers. So yeah, haven't worn it yet, kind of been waiting to record. So my last, oh no, I've got 2 more finished objects, small finished objects. I'm just going to check the recording time again, because, oh yeah, that's fine, we're doing good. So my next finished object, so when I was ill but getting better and had a bit of energy, I was looking through Petite Knit's pattern library, And because I actually went looking for the Anker. I saw that there was an Anker cardigan. So, you know, that kind of similar ribbing effect, but in a cardigan. So I went looking for the Anker cardigan pattern, and I kind of came to a halt on that because I couldn't quite figure out what yarn gauge it was. It looked like it was kind of between DK and Aran. Anyway, I kind of didn't get far enough into actually deciding to buy the cardigan pattern. But what I did like about what I could figure out about it was, again, like the jumper, you kind of knit the button band while you're knitting the cardigan body, which means I wouldn't have to go back and pick up stitches and knit a button band, which I like the idea of. Anyway, I'll get back to figuring that out at some point. But when I was searching for general Anker patterns, I saw she had a pattern for an Anker hat. So this is my Anker hat. I've been wearing it a lot actually. I got more kind of Petite knit labels, so I put a little Petite knit label. I can't decide if I like the label or not. My husband liked it. I kind of sat it on one day and was kind of looking at it while it was on the kitchen table, and he came in and said he really liked it. So I put it on. I tried to machine stitch it on at first, and that was a disaster. So then I just hand stitched it on. Can't decide if I like it or not. Anyway, it's on. It's probably not coming off. So yeah, so when I was quite ill, but well enough to have a bit of mental energy. So the Anker hat, I really loved it and I really wanted to knit it. And I went to try and buy it, and on Ravelry it said the pattern is discontinued, and I couldn't figure out why. So I kind of googled it and went onto her website, and so that the Anker hat pattern isn't for sale. And like I said, I kind of googled it thinking maybe it's a free pattern somewhere. I can't figure out why she's not still selling it, because the versions that I've seen are really good. So anyway, I decided I wanted it enough, I would just knit my own. So yeah, I'd been sleeping quite a lot that day, so I basically kind of stayed up until about midnight, I think, figuring out the maths of how to. So I started with, I think I started with 92 stitches, and then just kind of I'd put it on a length of yarn, put it on my head, measure the next chunk of head that the next ribbing needed to cover, and kind of worked out how many stitches I needed to decrease by between the ribbing to get that circumference. So that's how I did the whole thing. And then at the end I could maybe, so instead of doing, I've done a kind of fewer number of rib rows than the Anker sweater pattern, just because I thought it would look better. Anyway, so, and then at the very top I used this is a kind of, is it 5-point decrease, 1, 2, yeah. For the very, very top, I used a Kate Davis hat pattern decrease technique. The stitch count was obviously different, so I had to do the maths for that as well than hers. But yeah, I really like it. And so then I started thinking I should do an Anker hat for every Anker sweater I have. So this matches, this is the same. When I knitted the first Anker sweater, I ordered an extra ball of wool because I wasn't sure how many balls. I don't like playing yarn chicken, so I always order extra. So this kind of matches this. So I shall look very dandy walking along the street in my Anker sweater and a matching Anker hat. I really like that kind of 70s matching knitwear thing. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. If I knit it again, and I'll show you in a minute, but I've got another Anker sweater coming up. I'd increased the initial cast on because I'm not going to put it on. It fits really well actually, but it could be maybe a bit more relaxed. Obviously I had to block this as well to get the ribbing to stretch out. So yeah, so I'm really, really happy with that. I thought it was great fun, and like I say, I just had enough mental energy at the time for it to keep me interested. But yeah, I don't know why she's not selling. The versions I saw look really good. So yeah, that's my Anker hat, which I really like. So one final finished object, which is, so this is the first thing I started knitting when I started to feel like I was feeling a bit better again. So it's my phone cover. This is my phone cover. It's a very simple knitted item. I think it was like 5.5 weeks into having whooping cough, and so I'd get up, when I had whooping cough, I'd get up in the morning, I'd make up a bed on the couch, and then I'd just spend the day on the couch, coughing and trying to sleep. But anyway, about 5.5 weeks into having whooping cough, halfway through the day, I suddenly had a bit of energy. It took hardly any time. I think I spent a couple of hours on it. It's DK. It's leftover yarn from my Evendon cardigan and then from my Chickadee cardigans. The middle colour is actually purple. It kind of looks brown sometimes. I could have done with a better colour of purple. The design is the bisexual flag. And I just did the math, and so I kind of divided it up, so the flag is 2/5 pink, 1/5 purple, 2/5 blue, and that's, yeah, like I said, I just did the maths, figured it out, started knitting, and it kind of really cheered me up at the time, because, you know, when I hadn't done anything for 5.5 weeks, or been anywhere, or seen anybody, or, you know, it just felt like quite a kind of bright, jolly thing to. And my old phone cover was really tatty. It was really well worn at the time, so this felt very jolly to kind of, and it's nice to have the energy to do it as well. So yeah, that's my phone cover. So that's all my finished objects. So I'll start with my whips, and they won't take long because they're duplicates of what I've already done. So whip number 1 is, so I love the Anker sweater so much I immediately ordered wool for 2 more, and I've subsequently ordered wool for another 2. Anyway, I won't show that today because I haven't started them, but I have started on the 2 that I ordered the wool for. So this is a brown. Again, it's Drops Charisma, so you can see the kind of the cinching. So I've done the body. I just need to pick up the sleeves and knit the sleeves. I'm kind of lucky. Quite often I see other podcasters saying they don't like getting stuck on Sleeve Island. I don't mind. I've never minded. Or like second sock syndrome. I don't get that either. I don't mind knitting the second sock. So yeah, Drops Charisma, brown. So I really like this brown. It's not as warm as this brown, but I like it anyway. I really like it. I think I do a soot brown because I am brown. So yeah, so that's my Anker sweater in brown, and I'm looking forward to. I've got 2 other whips, so I'll probably pick up the stitches for the sleeve, and then it's easy just to kind of pick up when I feel like it and kind of carry on. My next whip is also an Anker sweater, and this is Drops Daisy. So I think Drops Charisma didn't have an off-white, so this is me heading into the off-white garment territory. I think Drops Charisma didn't have an off-white that I liked, I was kind of thinking of, should I do oatmeal? It was hard to tell online whether, so this is Drops Daisy marzipan. You can see I started knitting up just because I wanted, so even when I got the wool in the post, it's hard to tell online what a colour is actually going to be. And even now, I look at this in some light and I think, is that kind of off-white, or is it beige, or is it heading into, I don't know. Even when I had the wool sitting in front of me on the kitchen table, I was still Googling it to see what other people's Drops marzipan looked like, because I couldn't quite place the colour, which sounds mad, but anyway. So so I knitted it up. I started knitting it up just because I wanted to see if I could figure out what I thought the colour actually was, and I do really like it. I'm really looking forward to having it. I'm really excited about having it. I started knitting this alongside doing the rib for the brown Anker sweater, and then I decided to kind of halt that here and to kind of do more work on that. Drops Daisy, it's really, really soft. It's more expensive than the Charisma, but it's so soft, although I have seen other podcasters say that it pills, so I'll have to watch out for that, but it is so soft and really lovely, so I'm really happy with that. So I'll wait until I finish the brown, I think, yeah, before continuing with that. So this is kind of way down the whip line. And then my final whip is a pair of everyday socks again. Hold on. 24, okay. Pair of everyday socks. Knitted in West Yorkshire Spinners Kingfisher. So I've done one sock, obviously, and then I'm kind of on the foot of the second sock. You get the West Yorkshire Spinners 4-ply sock yarn, you get such a big ball of it. I actually weighed one sock, and so you get a 100-gram ball. One everyday sock is 23 grams, so you can easily get 4 socks out of it. So part of the reason I wanted to get Kingfisher sock yarn is because, so we live near the North Esk River, so that's where my husband and I go for our walk after lunch on the days that we can, and we've got a kind of route. It's a disused railway line that's now a cycle path and footpath. So we go along there, and in the last year there's a little kingfisher that lives just under the bridge, and it's so sweet and so cute, and you kind of sometimes see a flash of blue, but sometimes it'll sit on a branch. And yeah, and it's just, I'd never seen one in real life before. And it's tinier than I expected it to be. Anyway, so that's why I'm knitting a Kingfisher. West Yorkshire Spinners is very clever getting people to buy sock yarn that reminds them of birds that they like. They have a range. They've got different, like green woodpecker, and I think they've got pheasant. Yeah, I would probably buy them all just because I really love birds. I have a lot of bird friends. We've got a lot of really good garden birds as well. We have woodpeckers and nuthatches and lots of long-tailed tits, which are really cute. Anyway, so that's that. So it's really easy to knit. I'm so well practiced in knitting everyday socks now. I pretty much can do it from memory. No holes. The good thing about just doing the whole thing in one yarn is I don't have to worry about that, resolving the short rows resolving the short rows on the first set of short rows before I go into doing the short rows on the second shaping of the heel. I think I'm quite lucky. I see some people, different people have different preferences for knitting heels. I like the German short rows. I have quite a thin foot. So a German short row heel is completely sufficient for me. But I know some people, if they've got a thicker foot, it doesn't kind of stretch over their heel and their foot enough. So some people prefer and can only knit like a heel flap and gusset, which I can't be bothered doing because it means breaking the yarn, picking up stitches, blah blah blah. I can't be bothered with that. But I follow Isolde Teague on YouTube, and she has just come up with a new method of doing. So I think it's called the shadow wrap heel, but which I think was already a technique, but she's somehow incorporated that into. It's almost like a heel flap and gusset in terms of, because you then need to decrease your stitches when you go into the foot. So she's come up with a new method of doing a kind of like a shadow wrap heel, but you get more stitches. So that means you get a kind of wider bit between the heel and the foot. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, but then you need to kind of decrease the stitches when you go into the foot. So that just gives you more room if you've got a thicker foot, which I think is great. It's a really interesting technique. I watched it while I was in the bath one day. She's obviously done a sock pattern as well to go along with it, but she's kind of showing the technique on YouTube. So if anybody did like so her technique means that you don't have to break the yarn as well. So you get the benefit of the heel flat and gusset room, but you don't have to break the yarn, pick up stitches and then do your decreases. So that's the benefit of her method. Sorry, if you've seen it before, you know it records for half an hour and then stops. So I'd got to the half hour limit. Anyway, so I was just saying about the Isolde Teague heel technique, which I think is really good, really interesting. So that's my last whip, and I don't have much more to say. The only thing, well actually one thing I did want to say was I was really glad, when I was ill, I was really glad that I'd knitted my Sugar Boo bralettes by KG. I've got I knitted these last year. I've got a blue one and a red one as well. I was really glad I had knitted them because when I was coughing, doing all of my violent coughing, and I've still got it, my right rib, I don't know if I fractured a rib. Anyway, it's still not, it's still sore. Because I was coughing so violently that I couldn't wear my bra. I wear underwire bras, so I couldn't wear my bra, but my boobs are big enough that I need some support. So I started wearing the Sugar Boo bralettes, and they have, because it's negative ease, they were giving me some support and they were really soft, and it was just, I wore them all the time for weeks. It was all I could wear, and I'll have to, she might not care, but I'll have to, I thought I'd kind of do a post on Instagram and tag her and just say thanks for designing it, because yeah, like I say, I needed some support, and this was like the kind of softest way of giving me support and comfort, you know, because I was in a lot of discomfort. Anyway, so that's everything I have. Sugar Boo bralettes. I've been doing a bit of reading, not much. I kind of partly did Women in Translation Month, which I think I've talked about before. So I finished Butter, I've done a few. Meg hasn't come back, I don't know where she's gone. She's usually like really angry if I shut the door on her. She usually gets really angry and kind of claws the door to try and get it open. So I'm currently reading, I've just started Intermezzo, which I've been looking forward to for ages, but I think I've only now got the attention span for it. So I'm reading that. I've got that still to read, The Lantern of Lost Memories, a Japanese, Women in Translation. Finished The Details and Petronelle, both of which I really loved. Really like reading non-UK, non-American fiction. I got the Gillian Anderson book, which I haven't looked at all yet. Got the Kate Atkinson book, which I'm looking forward to reading. It's her latest Jackson Brodie. Not quite in the headspace. I finished Butter. I think I've got more. I kind of went on a bit of a book ordering, though. Yeah, I've read We Solve Murders by Richard Osman, which is his new kind of crime series book, which it was okay. I like Richard Osman as a person. I think he's got a lot about him, and his writing style, they're kind of short, snappy chapters, which is great. He has a lot of characters in his books. He's good at, what I liked about when he did the Thursday Murder Club, he can write quite poignantly about love, which I think is really sweet, and about kind of, you know, long lasting love, you know, love between people who have loved each other for a long time. And, you know, when that love changes because one of them becomes unwell or dies. But he does it with a light touch. But it still kind of gets the point across, and gets the just gets the feeling across. I can't remember, I've lost the word. So I enjoyed that, and actually it was probably as much as I could concentrate on at the time. It's only in the last couple of weeks I've started reading the European and Japanese fiction in translation. I've had a bit more concentration. So that's that. I had a couple of podcast recommendations. So I usually only recommend one, but I've got two today. So the first one is The Ancestral Craft, and craft is spelled C-R-A-E-F-T. So that's a woman who I think lives in Edinburgh. She's a gardener, but she does, like, she'll get her own wool fleeces, and she'll kind of card and spin her own wool. She's doing courses just now as well. She's offering up courses, which look really interesting. But anyway, and then she knits up garments from the wool that she's kind of spun. But the whole process is done in a really lovely way, and she's got a really kind of lovely, gentle, grounded energy about her. And she does really interesting things, so so I'd recommend her. She hasn't podcasted in a while, actually. She usually only podcasts, like, I think 4 times a year. And she hasn't done it in a while, but I do follow her on Instagram. And I really like what she does. And the second podcast recommendation is Camp Thruple podcast, which is a bit of a kind of tangent for a knitting podcast. So it's a thruple in America. I think they're in Colorado. And they just talk about what it's like being in a thruple, and what's good about it, what challenges they face. They're a really fun 3 people. I think they've got a really, not just about being in a throuple, but I think they've got a really good approach and attitude to life and relationships in general. So they're really level-headed and obviously really loving and fun. So I like watching their podcasts. They're very funny and good. And it's kind of what I like about, so I like people who find relationships that are right for them. It's what I like about Sally Rooney's writing as well. She often has relationships that are, you know, there's something about them that people have found in each other, something that they like. So it might not necessarily be how it's not a kind of cliche relationship. It's not like man-woman heterosexual relationship. That's it. The throuple actually started off as a heterosexual man-woman relationship, and then the woman was bi-curious, and then I think they went on to like a dating website for finding a girlfriend, and found a girlfriend, and now they've all been together for 5 years. But I like when, you know, I was thinking that couple could easily have let that experience pass them by just thinking, we're in a couple, let's not be authentic to ourselves and explore what we could actually have. So they actually went ahead and found somebody that they love, and they're all in a kind of equal relationship. And yeah, it's really, I really like stuff like that. That's what I like about Sally Rooney's writing as well. She often has unexpected relationships in there. That's Meg meowing her head off. Hold on. Come on. So yeah, so that's what I like about Sally Rooney's writing. It's that kind of, you know, when people, it's kind of what I like about programmes like the Pottery Throwdown and Sewing Bee and stuff like that as well, because you get kind of unexpected friendships forming as well. So it's not just like love or sexual relationships, it's like when you get friendships forming between people who you might not normally put together. She's sharking under my seat. Anyway, so I'm nearly finished. The only other thing I wanted to talk about was I took up paddleboarding when my husband was away. So this was obviously before I got ill. I can't even, I sometimes now look at the weather forecast and it's a really kind of low wind forecast, and it's not, you know, it's like 9 degrees, which is ideal kayaking weather. Anyway, when my husband was away, and before I got ill, I was really missing kayaking because it's been so busy this year. We haven't managed to get out kayaking. I can't lift my kayak by myself, so anyway, I was talking to my colleague about it, and he mentioned he'd been paddleboarding with his son. And I don't really fancy paddleboarding because I don't like standing up. My balance isn't great, so I knew that if I tried to do paddleboarding I'd just fall in. So anyway, I googled it, and when my husband was away I was really longing to be out in the water. Whoa. Okay. Okay. Do you know what? I'm just gonna blow out all the candles. Okay, I think she'll be fine. Yes, I was really missing, I just have to keep an eye on her because I don't want her to get her little tail singed. So yeah, I was really missing kayaking. I can't lift my kayak by myself. So yeah, after talking to my colleague and kind of doing some research, I found a paddleboard that actually had a kayak seat attached. So I bought it, got it. I didn't tell my husband I was doing it. I didn't want him to worry about me because I was going out by myself. So I kind of did the whole thing. And to all intents and purposes, kayaking on a paddleboard, the seat was really good. It looked really flimsy actually, but it was actually had enough support, and it felt just like kayaking when I was on the water. And because the paddleboard is just like, it's an inflatable hard board, but because it's really steady, stable, you know, there's no way I was going to fall in. So I had a great time. I was kind of, we have been in the sea, which is a few times actually, which is kind of wondrous and scary and exciting. Yeah, a lot of respect for the sea. But anyway, we usually go to, there's a reservoir near where we live called Gladhouse, and it has 2 islands in it. So, you know, you can kind of kayak around the islands, and And then we've got a picnic spot that we kind of paddle to the far end. We like to, there's quite a lot of people there often during the day. But if you go the other side of the big island, nobody goes around there. So we tend to head for the areas that nobody else goes to. Because that's part of the attraction of kayaking, is to get away from people, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, so it was really good fun. And yeah, like I said, my husband was away and he was really busy. I didn't tell him I was buying the paddleboard because I didn't want him to worry about me going out by myself. So, but anyway, and I thought he'd be too busy that morning to track me. We track each other on our phones, just because when he's away, it's an easy way of kind of keeping track of each other, not in a kind of stalkerish way, but just to kind of make sure that the other person's okay. So as soon as I pulled up at home, he sent me a text saying, how did you manage to get the kayak on the car by yourself? Which I thought was really funny. So he'd been tracking me all the way around me kayaking around the islands. So yeah, so I've been out a couple of times by myself. I was really hoping to, the water gets cold between November and March, so I was really hoping to get out at least once more this year, but I don't think I will now. I don't have the lung capacity to pump up. I quite like pumping up the paddleboard, but I don't have the lung capacity at the minute, unfortunately. But anyway, it's there next year, and it's really great having the self-sufficiency of being able to go out by myself. I love it. I kind of get all my stuff prepped and get my picnic prepped. And the bird life on the reservoir, you know, there are swans and geese and ducks. There's these kind of little black birds that bob on the water that I've never kind of got close enough to see what they are exactly. It's just really lovely to be out there. I just love it. I just love kayaking. It's got that kind of Famous Five adventure feeling about it as well, which I really love. That kind of self-sufficiency, getting around under my own steam. Yeah, I really love it. I really love it. When I was out the first time, I thought, oh, maybe I could invite a friend to come with me. And then I thought, but that friend would then talk to me. It'd have to be, not that, obviously I like my friends, but yeah, I like the solitude of being out. I like being able to enjoy the experience of the water and paddling without being distracted about talking about things you normally talk about, like if you go for coffee with a friend. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sounding very antisocial. I do like solitude. I like being by myself a lot. I've got a lot of interests, and I like being able to pursue those interests and follow through the kind of thought patterns and thoughts that come out of that. Anyway, so that's me. It's a bit over an hour, but I'm going to stop for lunch now. And yeah, hopefully it might be another month or two before I record again. I've got a lot of stuff I really want to make as well. There's so many good patterns. Some summer patterns actually, which I've never been attracted to before, but I'm now thinking about doing. But yeah, okay. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and see you soonish. Bye from Meg.